Okay, that was a very, very riveting first session if we have to look at it in the India versus South Africa match at Centurion. Thankfully, it is sunny, bright, which might have actually dented South Africa's initial aim. Okay, they might have taken 3 wickets, but Virat Kohli, the king, is looking solid at the crease, although he got a life. Shreyas Iyer kind of living dangerously, but he's weathered the storm and that's why now he is also batting very well. The 67-run partnership has ensured the first over where India lost 3 wickets. Now it's been nullified, and at lunch you are 91 for 3 with Kohli on 33 of 47, Shreyas on 31 of 46, both in an upward strike rate of 65.
Yeah, I mean, see, I remember we were discussing before when the toss was done, and we said that, hindsight would see whether Temba made the right call. I'm calling it now. I don't think it was the right call. Yes, the scorecard reached 3 wickets down, but every single one of those wickets was down to the Indian batsmen throwing their wickets away.
Yep.
Not one of them was a wicket-taking delivery. Rohit Sharma went to pull a ball where there was quite clearly Nandarega positioned for that shot, and he didn't really connect with it well enough.
Yeah, because he was cramped for room. The problem is what happened in the Rohit Sharma dismissal was that Rabada bowled it short and on leg stump. But he didn't give him room, and that's why Rohit Sharma now likes to free his arm and hit it for 6.
All he could do was guide the ball exactly to the player who was positioned for that particular shot, which is why the elation in the South African camp. But I agree with Shane. All 3 wickets down to Indian batters giving away their shots. So that was just this Rohit Sharma dismissal. If Shane could talk us through the others.
Jaiswal in particular, I think it was Sunny Gavaskar on Hindi commentary who said, मुझे पता नहीं वो क्या करने की कोशिश कर रहा था. His exact words. And to be fair, I get it. It was not even a white ball shot. Leg going one place, hand slashing on the offside.
There was one thing from white ball cricket I could hold him guilty for, which was him trying to poke at the ball too often.
True.
At the start though, yes, I saw a few leads from him, but then after having, let's say, played about 10-12 balls, I could see him trying to get to every ball possible, which is where he found himself wanting in that particular moment as well. Had he, let's say, just been more patient on the day, perhaps would have survived that, because again, wasn't really a wicket-taking ball, went straight, through to the keeper,
But it was the length. He drew him forward with that length, tried to go for the drive, but a little bit of away movement.
I'm just
that discipline which is needed.
If you see before that dismissal as well, there have been about 3-4 times that he played and missed. Again, smart bowlers would do smart bowlers would just sort of, pitch it slightly up, drive the batsman forward. He went for it, nicked it. Again, could have avoided. Again, which is where I see traces of white ball cricket there in Yashasvi Jaiswal.
But I think the worst dismissal, by the way, has to be Shubman Gill's.
Down the leg side.
You're stranded down leg side. I mean, that's the kind of dismissal you don't forgive in white ball cricket. In test ball cricket, it's a cardinal sin. That sort of a ball, you either just let it be or you go full-blooded at it. He did neither. It was a tentative kind of a poke, and by the way, very good review from the wicketkeeper.
Kyle Verreynne.
Yeah, Kyle Verreynne actually went for that review. He was probably one of the few people convinced.
Yeah.
And he kind of pushed Temba to take the review, and otherwise, I was thinking in real time, and I'm like, I think they've just burned the review. Surprisingly, also, by the way, they only seem to have 2 reviews. What's going on here?
See, the thing is, I think if memory serves me right, okay, the 3 you may say DRS reviews were upheld during the COVID era, when you had to once again go back to home umpires.
Okay.
International umpires couldn't travel much. So that's why just for that there has been a lot of problems with a home umpire hosting a particular home series. So that's why to give that buffer, 3 reviews. But now with COVID gone, I think they have now reverted back to 2 reviews.
Even West Indies was 2 reviews if memory serves me right.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being 3 reviews then.
The 3 review system was there only during COVID, because international umpires, no neutral umpires could be guaranteed because of COVID. So that is why home umpire, maybe if the team feels aggrieved, you have 3 reviews. But now I think with COVID gone, I think it's gone back to 2. That's the situation. But then South Africa themselves let India off the hook.
Twice.
How?
Yeah.
Shreyas Iyer getting dropped by Marco Jansen, and
India could very well have been 30 for 5 or something like that, because both were catchable deliveries.
Especially the Shreyas one.
Even
Virat. On the pads, the field was set. Tony DeZorsi dropped it. And he may be a social media superstar in South Africa, Tony DeZorsi, but Now he may not be feeling like a superstar because you've dropped Kohli and look how he's batted on this deck. It's vintage Kohli. Like he's gone ahead and scored 33 very fluent runs.
Yashasvi, after I'm sure he would have analyzed his dismissal and he will continue to see those results. That's the difference between, and that's what happens when Virat Kohli, with the experience that he has, plays in these conditions. I remember a couple of times where the ball didn't go to the boundary necessarily, but Virat has been trying to reach out to the ball. He's waiting for the ball to come onto the bat, even when he's there driving the ball, especially in the cover region, which is what he likes playing the most in that particular area. Even then, he's not really reaching out to the ball. He's stopping it midway because he's waiting, allowing for the ball. Because there's no movement here or anything, he knows that the ball will pretty much follow the same trajectory. Just going there, letting the ball come onto the bat. Again, hallmark of a good batter.
So Kohli was dropped on 6, Iyer was dropped on 4. And I think it was both times Nandre Berger who... I think Kohli's thing was Berger.
Shreyas Iyer was dropped by
Jansen.
But it was, I think, Rabada he was dropped. Who was bowling.
Okay.
But yeah, Berger, by the way, speaking of him, he's been beyond impressive on debut.
Got a catch and also bowled the right length.
Dismissals, the first 3, or involved in all of them.
Yep, correct. And he also bowled in the right channel a lot more. I mean, you could see it with Katsia. He was kind of struggling. He had many deliveries going down the leg side. And remember, Katsia is getting good in-swing. He's predominantly an in-swing guy who's doing it. And that's why Katsia bowled too many deliveries on the leg side. Jansen, erratic. He didn't build enough pressure from one end. And that's why Rabada and Nandre Berger, if you have to look at it, they were the ones who held one end up and kind of eased the pressure on South Africa. But now, Katsia, Jansen and all, they gave away too many deliveries to be scored off. And that's why they could easily build the partnership. Look at it, 26 overs, they are going at over 3.3 per over. Kohli and Iyer, 70 and 67, which means they didn't dry the flow of runs up for a very long time.
Which is what you expected that to happen once the cloud cover sort of cleared out and these became very batting friendly conditions after, let's say, those first 40-45 odd minutes. Once you could see that the clouds had cleared out and it was becoming sunny. It first was bright to begin with, but then it became sunny. Again, batter friendly conditions, and again, there's no demons in the pitches yet. The ball's coming onto the bat nicely now. Little assistance for the bowlers, and Shreyas Iyer, Virat Kohli, after being given those extra lives and those reprieves, they're making the most of the conditions and looking very much in control on. This is a problem for South Africa. They may go wicketless for a good chunk of time now, given that conditions out there at Centurion have now eased.
And there is one more major concern. Temba Bauma's injury. And as he was chasing a delivery from Virat Kohli. I think he hit it to the extra cover fence. Temba hold up, and if you looked at it, I think it was the same hamstring injury which was giving him problems in the World Cup also.
Could be. I mean, I'm not really sure of that, but yeah, I mean, the way it was, because it was a fairly innocuous shot. I mean, Temba was chasing it down easily. Then you see him limping really badly, and you're like, oh, that's not good. It's not good at all. He managed to make it. I thought he'd let it go for the boundary. He made it to the ball, threw it back, but after that, nothing. And that's a bit of a blow for their batting, really, because again, if the conditions, and generally speaking, South Africa becomes tougher to bat as the days go by, South Africa are going to be batting fourth innings. You need a Temba Bavuma fit.
You need a fit Temba Bavuma. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dean Elgar is captaining the side at this point. Although Markram is also there, but I think I heard on our commentary, it was Elgar who was captaining. So, let's see how it goes now. Because the key highlight for me was the 2 dropped chances. I mean, South Africa, you don't associate them with dropped chances.
Ever.
And you've seen 2. Jansen, okay, he's a bit suspect. I mean, with his height and with everything, he does.
It was down his throat.
It was.
It wasn't a tough catch.
Straight at him, in fact.
I mean, it was near here, but come on, it wasn't as if it was Temba, I could have understood, but.
It would have flown over him.
Exactly.
In fact, of the 2 catches, I dare say,
I think it was Tony Desorcies
was a little tougher, but even he with the dive had gotten to it. So,
also given.
So, I thought that was the easier one as compared to Jansen.
No, Jansen's was way easier. Jansen, he was standing. Where he stood, he hit it straight at him.
The thing is, he jumped onto the ball. He didn't let the ball come to him. Again, it was more like a reflex action of sort. He was caught napping of sorts. Maybe he wasn't expecting that particular catch, which is why he just sort of pounced on it. Had he, let's have been calm and patient and allowed the ball to come to him, would have been a straight, easy catch with his height.
Yeah.
Height was not a problem, I'm sure of that, because it was straight down his throat. I don't think he had to do much. Same with Dissorcy as well. Again, those are at international level very catchable deliveries, very catchable shots.
And
so
from the land of Jonty Rhodes, Brian McMillan, Jacques Callis, you don't associate a team dropping catches here. AB de Villiers,
That was such simple catches.
Very simple catches. So that's why 10 runs, imagine 6 and 4. They have gone on to make 33 and 31, and every run that they make will hurt Janssen and Tony Dissorcy a lot more. And because of that, tough times for South Africa. But remember, in South Africa, what happens is, Rohit mentioned it in the pre-match press conference, and I'll add that, you don't know which is the right batting condition in South Africa, because there may not be that much movement in the air, but you will get movement of the pitch on a regular basis. Either it can be in the first hour of every session or the second hour. We don't know that. He also added that the bounce factor, one might stay low, the other might just pop up. That is the one factor.
Additional bounce. At the moment, there's been enough evidence to suggest that there is bounce on offer over here, because some of the good length deliveries have also been caught around the chest area by the wicket keeper. So that's to tell you that there is bounce on offer, and for the ball to be bouncing from a good length area, that's always trouble for batters.
The bounce is good so far, there's no two ways about it. But the thing with South Africa also is that as the days go on, it becomes more two-faced. That's when batting becomes really tough.
Because he said, see, England, Australia and New Zealand, we know that how the pitches will be. If there is cloud cover in England, you will get swing in the air. In Australia, there is bounce. Seam movement is there, but after 15 overs, it's gone. New Zealand, you'll get seam in the air also, because there the pitches are green. South Africa, it's a mixture of all. You can get swing in the air and also swing off the wicket at all times. You don't know when that will be. And high well, remember, slightly higher up, and you may get movement in the air also on a frequent basis. But now this session will be very important, because cast your mind back to what happened even in 2017-18, or if I may add 21-22. The second sessions of most of the tests made a big difference. There, either you had a good partnership or you had a good collapse. And what was Rohit's main gripe? In the third innings, we never set up a good total. That's why we lost both the Johannesburg and the Cape Town tests. First innings could have been good, but then third innings of each, and even in 2017-18, the third innings was a disaster every time. India batted first in Joburg. That's how they managed to overcome that. And it took a sensational effort from Bumrah and Shami to ensure that we won that test. Otherwise, on that absolute, horror pitch, I call that a horror pitch in Johannesburg. You had no business playing a test match there. It was that bad. But here, slightly truer. Some deliveries I felt stayed a bit low. One delivery I remember Vereen just collecting it about ankle high. I think it died down as the pitch. So some areas the pitch, it's dying down. And this is a typical Centurion deck wherein, okay, there is some early assistance, then it may taper off and then it might spring up again, that early moisture that's there. So far it's sunny, but I think if it remains sunny, South Africa may have miscalculated in a big way. They may have expected rain, overcast conditions throughout the day, but now it's sunny. And I think what one of our family members stated might actually be right. 90% chances of rain is towards the stumps period, 5 o'clock there. But remember, the weather can change dramatically in Centurion. It may be sunny now, 1 hour later, rain.
But I think the major problem, what I was saying about the toss, is that there actually wasn't any great shakes movement. So in that sense, really, all India have to do is potentially grind it out in the second session, and you're set up for a good first day, despite those 3 wickets falling. Because really, now, of course, look, it's not like India don't have batting, but let's be fair, Ravichandran Ashwin and Shardul Thakur aren't batters you're going to be expecting daddy hundreds from. The ones who you'd be expecting it from are these two, and to an extent KL.
Already at the crease, correct.
Exactly.
And KL, yes.
It.
These are 3 batters who can, if India are to get to about 250, the bulk of the job has to be done from these 3. And then, of course, if you're looking at somewhere in the late 200s or closer to 300, then you can have, let's say, contributions about 20-30 each from Shardul Thakur and Ravichandran. That can push the target further. But to expect them to do bulk of the batting, I think that'll be asking too much.
See, I think 300 plus on any South African wicket in the first innings gives the visiting team an advantage. Because then South Africa will then have to do all the chasing. And remember, somehow, some way in the third innings you didn't do well, and that's why South Africa managed to chase it down. Otherwise, imagine if you had a lead of 40 or 50, you make 300, 350. South Africa would never have even been in contention those times. So that's why every single session that you take it. Remember, you are going to have a total of only 30 sessions in the series. Because 15 on 3 sessions on all 5 days here, 3 sessions on mostly all 5 days in South Africa, in Newlands. So that's why every session India will have to ensure at least half of them they bat really, really well. If you don't, I am sorry, then you are bound to lose yet again. This time the margins are even finer. One test you lose here, the series is gone or it's in your favor. That's how we look at it. So, good talking points, but yeah, some batsmen will have to ensure they don't have that white ball hangover. For example, Yashasvi, okay, first time he's faced some tough conditions. He had some good strokes, 4 boundaries. But yeah, all the other things you could see, as you pointed out, Harshit, prodding, poking, and then ultimately falling to that sucker trap that you had. Shubman, now, okay, assume, okay, he fails even in Newlands. He's not picked for...
and is he failing in the second innings as well?
Assuming, okay.
And a failure being a sub 50 run score, let's say.
Sub 50.
Okay.
Or let's just assume not 100.
Not 100 would be a bit much. If you could
sub 50. Sub 50.
Anything below the 50 run mark would be a bad
Okay, so supposing for 4 innings, 3 bad digits of sub 50 and 150. Okay, let's keep that. Okay, you may expect he may score a 50. He doesn't get picked for the Afghanistan T20s, maybe. He doesn't have that consistency in the test matches against England. Questions?
Yes.
Questions in a Shubman?
I mean,
Yes.
there's been questions for a while now.
Yes.
The fact is, you gave him a little bit of time because you said, okay, he had been in fantastic form in the first 3, 4, 5 months of 2023.
Until May 31.
Which, including the IPL, made it look like what, 6 or 7 centuries for him already in the first 4 months of the year, 5 months of the year.
Across formats.
Across formats, including a double 100, by the way.
In ODIs.
New Zealand.
Yeah. So it was, it was in totality those whole 5 months and IPL included that got Shubman Gill through the entire year, I would say, because after that contributions have been far and few between.
Yep.
Even the World Cup.
World Test Championship final, struggled in the West Indies of all places.
Yes, just
Asia Cup was
150, I remember that too in the third T20, otherwise not in the first 2 as well.
Even Asia Cup also.
Asia Cup was poor, then didn't have a great World Cup, struggled with dengue. But ever since then, you name it, actually his form has pretty much gone downhill since the World Test Championship final. Thereafter, post World Test Championship final, first Test series that was played, West Indies, that's why he switched number 3. And so far the returns have been terrible.
I'm just saying, like, the IPL could either just sort of, put his confidence back, but remember, he is going to be the captain also this time around, and he's going to be leading a side that have not only won the championship before, but are also finalists from the previous edition. Now, if it's a mediocre or a below average season for Shubman Gill, I think he's in a bit of trouble then, because the lull would have then extended about 8 months, 9 months. Now, that's a significant period.
Exactly.
And that's where I think there'll be big question marks, and maybe you'll have very little to show. And I know he's the blue-eyed boy, but at some point, you need runs to be talking.
But plus his test returns so far have not been convincing. Let's be very clear
if we're
about
talking about Test cricket, there's only one Shubman Gill knock that comes to mind,
Gabba, 91. Yep.
Yeah.
He
Beyond
got
that,
a 100 against Australia, but remember that came on an absolute featherbed in Ahmedabad.
I'm not
Ahmedabad.
counting that.
Ahmedabad everyone was getting hundreds over there.
Exactly.
There was only 100 for a reason prior to that, because conditions were tough. And it was Rohit Sharma only who had gotten that 100 otherwise.
Nagpur, yeah. So, there is question marks over Shubman Gill now. I mean, let us make it one thing clear. For 5 months, runs were coming as if it was no one's business. It was easy, languid. I mean, we felt that, yes, we've got a Virat Kohli successor. But now, 7 months later, we are asking this question, which means cricket is a game of such fine margins. From you go so high and then you fall down so high.
In some way, I know these comparisons are made between Shubman Gill and Virat Kohli, and he's seen as the successor in terms of potential, in terms of leadership, in terms of so many things. But I remember those three years of lull that Virat Kohli also had to endure. Some of those dismissals were confounding. When I look at Shubman Gill, I think there are some dismissals, and there have been times that he's been hard done by, especially the World Test Championship final dismissal. Cam Green catch. Again, it was a.
But again,
today's dismissal again.
That misjudgment. He left one delivery, if I'm not mistaken, and got bowled. Shubman. I think it was of Cummins, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I don't remember
I'm just saying there have been those instances as well that sort of liken him to Virat Kohli. That was because Virat was so unfortunate so many times over those 3 years, where even he'd be looking to the skies or just be having a wry smile on his face, not believing his luck. Shubman Gill today would be feeling the same because there was just no way getting out. That was just no way getting out.
No, but I think there's one key difference is that Kohli, he never had a barren run this long prior to much later in his career. I mean, you had the struggles in England.
That was only for 5 tests.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Okay, in the ODIs he hit at least 150 there, but that was it.
Even the last tour was a little underwhelming for him.
But he was in the middle of that long slump.
162 odd runs, I think he got.
He hit a 79 in Cape Town.
But otherwise, I think total was. He averaged 42 from last year, the last tour. But again, runs, if you were to speak of, 162, I think. Again, could be wrong, and one of you can.
Yeah, I mean, see, Kohli's worst year. If I look at that slump, okay, Kohli was never having a slump in ODI or T20Is. He was averaging over 45 and 71. But that is the problem with Kohli. The Tripti Dimri, remember, he asked us that Steve Smith, is his slump started? But he hit 2 centuries, one Ashes and one WTC. Doesn't get any bigger than that. But he unfortunately now has not scored a century ever since June. That's the thing. And Kohli, the averages that he has got, makes every knock under 50 or an average under 50 a failure.
And the thing with Kohli was, this is the one real bad slump he had was that 20 to 22 types. Beyond that, not really. There's been small patches, but with Gill now it's been 7 months.
And the only format where he struggled in that entire period was tests. He averaged below 20.
Actually, I would say even in T20s, I mean, average aside, average aside, there were times where, and that slump period
strike rate
was where his approach really got questioned the most.
That strike rate. See, 71 strike rate is phenomenal, but 130, 132
he was averaging well around that time as well. But tests,
that's why his average is below 50. Because of that, his average is now 48. That slump of 3 years really destroyed his test aspect. That's why I'm saying, if Kohli plays for 3 to 4 years more, he can think about overhauling Sachin. He can in ODIs. But test matches, no one's overhauling.
ODIs, I don't think there's anyone doubting the fact that yes, if he's to play for that long, he can really get past the 49 century mark. He already has done that, by the way. But for him to establish a big lead over there, maybe not getting 18,000 runs?
18,526 runs.
I don't think he's getting there.
He can, but test matches out of the question.
But again, he has to play for that long then.
He will.
But even then, runs could be...
He will play. See, you got multi-nation tournaments like the CT and the World Cup coming up in 25 and 27. So, if he can accumulate that period of runs, bilaterals, 3 bilaterals that he's playing, 3 ODIs, you're not playing more than 3 ODIs in this cycle. You can. Fitness is on his side. So, for 4 years, if he plays until 27, he can genuinely think about overhauling Sachin. But as far as Test cricket is concerned, no one's overhauling that.
You're not getting to 5100s, not happening.
No, not even 51, he's not getting to 15,921. He's 7,000 behind. With Test cricket becoming so much more difficult, and it's spaced out, I don't think it's happening. And in home conditions where you have destroyed batters' techniques by providing absolute moon craters, you're not increasing your average.
Exactly. I think one advantage that a lot of Indian batters in the past had was that yes, you'd play in spinning tracks in India, but at least they'd be consistent. And you'd get batting friendly conditions for maybe 2-3 days before it really turned to a dust bowl. So day one, first session,
8-degree turn.
8 degrees, forget about it. I feel for the batters.
So 91 for 3, if India can reach to a score of 170 for 3 or 170 for 4, I think Centurion is advantage India.
See, I think right now the game is very finely poised. Very, very finely poised because South Africa, They get 1 wicket, and you've exposed the underbelly of
If
the
you get
Indian
Kohli,
batting.
that too.
No. Even if you get a Shreyas, Kohli is one thing. Doesn't matter. They can target the others. I mean, look at it this way. KL, I know his form has been poor, but he's had a decent Test career. That being said, middle order. And that too, this is not even middle, this is lower middle order, where he's going to be expected to potentially have to counter-attack at some point. He's never, I don't think he's played lower than 4 or 5 times maybe in Tests.
He's never played.
Not in Tests, I can't remember.
Never in Tests.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what.
He's playing at 6 here. It's a whole new role. And after that, you've got Ashwin Shardul. Neither of them you're going to be expecting to rescue you to that degree that, they can score 100 or something in
You
these
can
conditions.
at max expect them to stitch a partnership of 70 or 80 with you.
At best, you'll expect both of them to get you decent fighting half centuries, which means it's, as I said, very much in balance. India need, best thing would be through this session, don't lose another wicket.
Yeah. Going wicketless for India will be the key.
Going wicketless in South Africa is a big thing.
No, but honestly, can I be honest with you?
Conditions do favor the two batters. In fact, one of them could, both of them rather should be looking at,
Getting past their 50s.
More than that, because that would just mean about piling 40 odd runs. You're looking at, let's say, both being around 80s,
60, 70, 80 types.
70, 80 by the end of the session.
Hope so. But remember, in South Africa, rarely do you go without a session where you don't lose a wicket. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, second session, as you also are pointing out, in recent times has become something of a swing session.
Yes.
In the sense that, it will determine which way the match is going to go.
Yep.
So it could either swing South Africa's way or it could swing India's way. You don't really know. So this is going to be crucial. Of course, as I said, for India, ideal thing would be these guys get some runs and no wickets lost, because then the pressure really will be on South Africa, because then you have to set batters and good luck trying to get them out at that point in time. Now if they get 1 wicket, then you're exposing the underbelly, then it's an untested KL and you've got Shardul and Ashwin there and thereabouts, and after that Bumrah, Siraj, Prasidh are proper 11s.
Yes, so that's the thing that we have got here, and I think this 4:40, when we are starting now, in the next 10 minutes we will start the second session. I think you will have an extended session, I think until 7:10, then 7:10 to 7:20 or 7:30, that's your tea break, and then 9:30 it's ending. Because I think the half an hour rain delay, I think they'll want to make it up in this session if the playing conditions are according to
Because rain suspected towards the end of the day, is that the reason?
No. You lost half an hour at the start.
No, I'm saying because you're also looking, because you see otherwise the compensation be done in the last session, and last session then becomes the extended session. Like you see in most parts. Here perhaps because the rain predictions towards the end, maybe you're trying to squeeze it in the middle session.
Also. Although I don't know, maybe they'll keep normal thing and
I was expecting some sort of leeway and some sort of grace in this particular session.
But it doesn't look like that's happening.
Yeah, it didn't happen. And it's not a curtailed session.
So I think if South Africa, because see, what happens in England? In England, you extend the final session. In Australia, you start early.
In India as well, you extend?
Yeah, in Australia you start early to make up for that time. So tomorrow, instead of 5:30 AM in MCG, play will start at 5 AM IST at the MCG, because you want to make up time, and every session then will get extended because you're playing 98 overs. Here, we lost half an hour. So to make that up, I think you will have an extended middle session, and if you anyway don't finish your quota of overs, you'll have an extended half an hour there also. So 7:10 till 7:30, then 7:30 to 9:30. Maybe that is the way how you're looking at it. I may be wrong. Let's wait for the playing conditions in that sense. So questions?
Then we'll take a few comments, because we're about
8 minutes away from the start.
From the resumption of play. That's the old one.
That's the old one. Yeah, so we'll just waiting for some small.
There we go. And finally we're getting some incoming and loading.
Yeah, okay. Okay, he's searching saying 640 only, 440 to 640. Maybe. As I said, I may be wrong in the playing conditions bit, because I think normally you would want to ensure you extend play to a certain extent in South Africa. So,
very interesting. We have a lot of questions. Let's see.
Pitch.
Sagar says, yes, the pitch doesn't look that difficult. In a way, it's good by batting first. That's not entirely wrong, because again, truth be told, I haven't seen anything so far in the pitch to suggest it's some sort of a nightmare. Then again, in South Africa, pitches tend to become tougher to bat on as the test wears on.
Yeah, so wait. Sagar is saying soft dismissals, all three. GGK is saying Sid. Gill should be persisted with. He's best youngster we have.
I mean, no one's saying that he should be, consigned to the scrap heap. But sometimes a player getting a little bit of a break like that might actually serve them better. Because again, I think he had that purple patch, but ever since then it's been a lean patch.
Yep. Sachin Daya saying 3 review system in Australia-Pakistan series also. Is it? That I heard somebody saying it's only 2 in MCG also.
Why only 2 here? Shouldn't it be uniform?
I think so.
Be
It should be consistent. But what
We'll check that. We'll check
We'll
that.
check
It's
that.
interesting. In fact, thanks for pointing it out, Sachin. We will definitely check that out. But
We
we're
will.
looking at World Test Championship. There's got to be consistency because sooner or later
As
some teams will then complain.
As far as I know, I think that 3 review thing was only temporary until COVID. I thought after that it was scrapped, and I think we are back to 2 each. But I know we are just getting in. There's a lot of confusion over this. I think we'll just check it out and
check it
give
out
it
and
out.
see.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Go
Back
fill
Gill.
it out.
Lingesh is saying back Gill. He will prove a point like he did in IPL.
Yeah, but I mean, no one's doubting his white ball credentials, but in tests beyond that 91, has kind of struggled more often than
Yeah.
not.
So that's Srinath was saying terrible bowling wise. I do agree. Towards the last hour when you are in this session, they gave too many freebies.
No, even in the beginning part, Jansen was very wayward.
Even Katsia, most deliveries were hardly any threat to the Indian batters. Okay, when he got it to the stumps, he was a bit intimidating.
He
But
was getting some in swing with that angle. I remember him trapping Kohli in front of on the pads. Again, that was when
Going down leg,
leg. But besides that, little control, let's say.
little control, especially from Jansen. I think Andre Berger showed tremendous control, and one delivery, one delivery went wide, which was signalled a wide, thankfully. But that's the situation. Daredevils. Sai Sudarshan was playing test cricket in place of Gill. Give Gill a bit of thing. Sai Sudarshan, why? Give him, maybe in the England series, he could get a run. He could get a run.
Where is Sai Sudarshan come to?
Hello.
Because he did well in the ODIs.
Come on, yeah.
250s he made on the trot in the ODI series.
What
You're
are
not there.
his Ranji numbers? I mean, has there been anything in domestic cricket to prove that he needs to be that person?
Izzatullah saying, what do you think about ban on Mujib Naveen Fazalak by ACB?
We'll be
Shane is
doing
doing a video on that.
Izzatullah, because that's interesting. That's something that I think you're seeing suddenly come from out of nowhere. But again, I think let's see, ACB did what they felt was in their best interest.
Yeah, it was. So, Apurvo Sarkar is saying, Pujara Rahane Vaga, oh please. We have moved beyond that.
In the era of Baz ball, please let's not go back to playing that ball.
It's fine. It's. I don't think there's a problem with that approach. The thing is, again, you've made a decision and there was reason for you to move past. I know it's the first time, I think in 12 years, 2012 is when first time since 2012 that neither of them are playing in the test side. But
You didn't play prior to that also.
See, Rahane was there, Pujara wasn't. And
And there have been times where it was kind of overlapping like that.
That's
but
the
now
problem.
you've taken a call to and tried to usher in this new era. So
Yeah.
Please do that. Stick with it. It takes
Stick
a little
with it,
time.
yeah. But the Indian cricket, you don't know. See, you're talking about going back to seniors in T20Is and ODIs. You're thinking about doing that.
ODIs I still understand. T20Is, where the logic is, don't even ask.
Yeah. But again, seniors only won you a T20 World Cup if you look at the young. It's not a young format. The guys who dominate, like Malinga, Bravo, Pollard, Shoaib Malik, are they youngsters?
No, but they were at least playing T20 cricket the way it was meant to be played at that point in time.
Any other questions, if we can?
Let's see. Piyush Andre says pitch will get good for batting under sunlight, but if the rain shows up again or gets overcast, might be difficult in that. But India will regret those soft dismissals, especially Gill.
You are bowling, Piyush, Nandre Berger. So, Nandre Berger was the guy who really troubled you. So, you were bowling, you should know. Yes, as a bowler, he's indeed said it. So, I know those soft dismissals, I agree. Especially the infuriating bit was Jaiswal and Gill. The class of under 19 2018 and the class of under 19 2020. Both conspired to throw their wickets away in a very bad manner.
Sir Chandra says, and I don't quite agree, he says that only Root has a chance of overhauling
Root is nowhere close.
Yeah.
Root, okay, see, he will be playing mostly, but the way how he's going for baseball, I think he's messed up that chance also.
Yeah, exactly.
How, I think he's got over 11,000 runs in tests.
But I don't.
A long way.
It's still a long way. 4,000 runs means he'll need to be scoring at exactly the same rate till his career ends.
But again, remember, England play the most tests.
Yeah, actually, that is the one thing that works in his advantage is that England per year, per calendar year, play at least 12-13 test matches.
That's why. And in this test series, in this test cycle, they're playing 21, if I'm not mistaken. And they rarely play a 2 test. It's either 2 or 5, 3 or 5 for them, England.
Yeah, in fact, they had more often than not, the Ashes would be 4. They've had 5 now. So,
Ashes was also
5. No, the India ones.
India ones.
Yeah, those used to be 4.
Yeah.
They've made those 5 also now. So, they're going to be playing.
So, in this cycle, okay, they're playing 5 against India, 5 against Australia, they've already played. Now they're playing 3 against New Zealand, they'll play 3 against Sri Lanka at home, 2 against the West Indies. That's it. You've got 18, 19 tests.
So you only had 1 2-test series there, which is against the West Indies. So imagine.
That's the way. And even in the West Indies, they play 3 tests. So, because they'll be playing far more tests, that's why I think Root might have a chance. But let's see
Again,
how
it's
it
might. Anyway, the players are back out in the middle. Very crucial session, really.
Yep.
Crucial half an hour.
back. He's stolen my mantle.
back.
It's back.
was in the first.
Always no.
Crucial half an hour comes to every session.
Every session. That half an hour of the first session or second session or third session is always vital. History's never proven me wrong.
Crucial half hour of every session then.
Every session.
You see when Kohli and Rahane got out in the World Test Championship, half an hour, first session of the 5th day, they got out.
And what
Test
is
was
it
done.
India will say? Bad half an hour.
Yeah.
Bas.
It's
First
in our
half an hour.
genes, my friend. So you think India are losing
hello,
a wicket
mic check.
or?
So I would hope not, but
Hello,
realistically, I
hello,
do
mic
think at
check,
least 1
sound check.
wicket. That's
But I hope it stops.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah, same here. So yeah, it's gotten slightly overcast in Centurion, but I think the rain towards the evening
could
time
very
only,
well be our TV giving some issues also.
that doesn't change.
Hello.
That's the
mic check.
situation. And okay, last question. If you had to choose greatest Test cricketer, who it would be?
Arey.
That's for later.
Yeah.
He says it's Jacques Callis, not a bad shout, but I would.
Even not just greatest test cricketer.
Hello,
if you
hello,
have to
hello.
construct a cricketer, don't really get much more
Hello,
beyond
hello,
Jack Callis.
hello.
Numbers.
Hello, mic check,
The
sound
stats
check.
which he has in Test and ODIs are maddening. I'm sorry, the kind of bowling numbers he has,
Hello,
a
mic
bowler
check,
would kill
sound
for,
check.
and
292.
vice versa for batsman.
Hello.
You're right, man. Jacques Callis.
So the ultimate cricketer, I mean, greatest is very subjective, but the ultimate cricketer, someone who can do everything. Jack Callis,
plus what a fielder.
good fielder,
Hello.
tactical brain, he had everything.
Yep.
Jack Callis, though.
Yep. So yeah, it's Kagiso Rabada bowling to Virat Kohli, who's taken a single.
What was with that Rabada that you just said?
Kagiso Rabada. That's how Pollock pronounces it, no? The South Africans pronounce it. Kagiso Rabada.
Alright then.
Okay.
We'll try fixing that.
Yeah. So bye bye. See you guys for the tea session at 6:40. Hopefully.